Well, we get into our very first story, and fishermen in the central region are kicking against this year's implementation of the closed season. Government, in a statement, announced the commencement of a 1-month ban on fishing artisanal fishermen and 2 months for industrial fishermen. Now, this spans between the 1st of July and the 31st of August 2022. But fishermen in Cape Coast are not happy and will not budge. We'll hear from them shortly, but let's first take a look at the statement issued by government. And so you can see the statement there. It says, press release notice 2022 closed season. And the general public is informed that in accordance with Section 84 of the Fisheries Act 2002, Act 625, the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture and the Fisheries Commission, together with industry players and other stakeholders, will be implementing the 2022 closed season as follows. 1 month closed season from the 1st of July to the 31st of July 2022. That is artisanal canoes and semi-industrial, that is inshore fleets. And a 2-month closed season from the 1st of July to the 31st of August 2022. And that is for industrial and trawl equipment. It must be indicated that the period of the 2022 closed season was agreed on based on scientific evidence and stakeholder consensus. Within the 1-month closure, there will be no premixed fuel allocation to the coastal landing beach committees. It is signed by the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Honourable Mrs. Mavis Hawa Kumsin. So what exactly are the concerns of the artisanal fishermen in Cape Coast? Here are some of them at a press conference in Elmina.
Yampano, 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 yo, Ghana man, I'm a ramu, Nayana, Honam, Mamma watch with Jimenado. Yo, and a pay of Fama Kwamijan, Mr. Apam. 2013 National Best Fisherman. And the pay, I am a ramu, them one ranum, near Namo Honam, Sian the payer. Yakasaka cra, Yapade, Yarutum Flemum, Ma Abai, Ossi, only there, Yafel Mayan, and the Quasam in the baby and Onkoye. Pra, never been Koye. Send nothing Koye, let's say Yankano Shemwa, and a young Frenchman, Nayarupun. Only there. Yes, another Yanam or China, and pay for the chair, only Yafel Jume. Now Yafel Jume, oh yeah, infida. I'm there, process in the end of the bay. Yewano, and Daba Ankoye. Titil, Wabashambana, Abanon by Funwasha. I'm a Ramon, no, was I in Asia. Yansha and Wachra, Abba Afrobedu. Yandamina, a fianza. Yapumena added on fianza. In the Mankoye, Afisi, Yakada Soda, also what about 2 pum. I put about 2 moon. Anna, I'm a Rami Yadunwa, Yansase. I seen it there. Last time when I put in one on this year. Afisi Shandama, Essie, Kolola, Ahuchil, Young Wamanze. I found for young Wamanze. Yatwayanto, you're free and one. Pato, you're better at a couple. Now, a balance also about 2 pum. It's your son minister. Yes, son minister. Also, the channel on review. Also, I said, I found for Yan Sasa, I feared about 2 punum. I said, young womanze. I found for young womanze. Young woman's papa, Yan Patron couple. Yan Patron, your phone couple. Patro, Abortin, I Patrosu, Nation Champion, me there. Or your Apofin, none of them what on my. I am a runway and what a couple. Says the Wunda, or do a top of the Casua, now a trauma of a drum called 2000, 1008, 1009, 1005. I have to see, man. It's your Slabano, also patrol summon, supporters on for me and Papa, up of friend, this assembly. No, patrol, Abano head and Ottoman Crawford. It's Yaslabano. I'm afraid we had a young time. They're pretty episode. Anna, this are them crosses in your rebate. So, Adaba, Anna 2024, most of about 2 mana. So, on 2 Maza, and on our fellow for young time. asene protum yantase ne yantase ochna so yantase no afi
we from mesma me fi mo we abra ye ba mpo anu no ye boto ye nananom opo ne wo de tete han ye we amba me mko ma wo bi ako mpo ana na me chima mo do hwa mamba me wi so mba no me de bi ako school me kete adwuma na me kete no first ye me ye potro ye ga no do ye de ko potro she ye ko to potro ye da akwafu ye de he bi amamba na nda potro no po wo de ba ye ko ho a wo me he bi wo ma ya chiche ye me ha ye de buo ye how ya ko ba afan busa so ko ba wo fan chao me ti bi antes so opu ne ye de ba ko ne ye bi de kutu aban ka na se what to punu ma aba de ye be ye ne ye de tuya da mus ka ne ya ka jin ye kutu ya ka anti ye tete ye how aban ye pane chao opu ne ye ju tum de wo ba to punum ye je tum anya me sa fu ye je tum ye wumba afafu ye wumba ni yesi to fund work at an office wo bo afafu de ye mboa nti ya pu ni enje tumo
ye hunde abani owodu ye fa adwuma na opedo ogun onam de se ye boto aba ministry ontupu numu ye to aba wi a na osi mbotupu numu epunu so tumu no onye adwuma ruanum onye woni nhia ni woni yen hyehyɛ biara minister so obodo olubi sia falfa na wa aka na assembly yekopo ho oya adwo papa minister bai onje anyima anya for dom ye wo central region onye ni hye poda aba onye abanjuma yafu no onye woni sia a won kopunu mu efi ebunu ntum no so mbira du tupunu mu no oya mbira ye na afrofu yekopo izi twa ye ne kawo inye bi hwe ye ne mba na say etu dem etu ebunu de membri ya ene ahwa che de nku wiazi bia o de na ya ye adwumazi bi we tebu niska be 1 billion o za ye adwumazi na sole sma tupum ene kibi je omuko pu esia adwuma ro fa eden nti a minister of officials oyina ba na akufado de wala ho afalfo papa wala ho yen papa what to punuma and some other ban also. Also, no piano is not to pumbo sumokol. But someone could get out.
So those are some of the fishermen in the Cape Coast area. Let's go live now and interact with Nana Brakwa Asare, who is the premix administrator for fishermen in Cape Coast. He joins us live with more on this agitation from the fishermen. Good morning, sir. What has changed this year in respect of the implementation of the closed season, which you are not happy about? What exactly is different?
A very good morning to you, and good morning to all your viewers this morning. Nothing has changed with regards to the implementation of the closed season. Closed season is something that has come to stay. It is something that we were near to the benefit of the fisher folks. I think this closed season, if you read the letter that came or the communique that came from the ministry, it is something that is enshrined in the Fisheries Act. And closed season is a worldwide phenomenon. It happens in lots and lots of places in the world. And it's to protect and to enhance the work of the fishermen. So the person that stands to benefit the most from this closed season is the fisher folks themselves and not government. If you look at the structure of fishing, we know our fish stocks are declining. And scientists have even predicted that if care is not taken in the next 20 to 15 years, if care is not taken, fishermen will go to sea and not get anything at all to come home with. Even as I speak to you now, currently, fishermen go to sea and buy food, very expensive, and go for their fishing expedition and come back with almost nothing. So I believe that it beckons on us as a society to ensure that we protect the resources that God has given to us. I think it will be very sad to come in the next 15 years and then there will be nothing in.
So Nana, that point is clearly made and maybe overflogged. But let's look at the reality of these fisher folk who say that even access to premix fuel is not that available, and we know that they are supposed to have access to these. There are measures put in place for them to have access to these facilities. They talk about the cost and all of that. What exactly is happening in that respect?
Okay, to begin with, I think government is doing a lot to alleviate the plight of fisher folks. In fact, if you look at the cost of premix fuel is sold for 7 cedis, 20 pesos, as opposed to it's supposed to be sold for about 50 cedis. To situate this conversation in context, premix fuel is majority of or about 95% of premix fuel is super. So anytime fuel is increased on the world market, ordinarily premix fuel is supposed to be sold. So if you take 7 cedis and 20 pesos out of 50 cedi, that should tell you the amount of subsidy government is pushing into premix. So it should tell the level of subsidy or what government is doing for the fisher folks. Now, admittedly, in the past 3 weeks, we are having challenges, and these challenges are global. And I know how the price of fuel has been skyrocketing in recent times. We started this year for a liter of fuel being sold for 5 cedis. Now it's close to 10 cedis a liter. And we know that government pays this under recoveries to BDCs. BDCs also have a challenge importing fuel into the country. We can talk of the Ukraine-Russia war. BDCs are having serious challenges bringing fuel into the country. If you go to other jurisdictions, Nigeria and the rest, people are even struggling to get ordinary fuel to go to sea. So, admittedly, yes, there are challenges, but that is not to say that we stop supplying fuel to fisher folks. Yes, the fuel went to Elminas, Kendi.
So you're supplying, but it is no longer affordable. You're supplying, but it's no longer affordable to them. But just hold it for me. Hold it, Nana. Let's have a conversation. I want you to listen to the chief fisherman in Cape Coast. He had a few problems to share. I want you to address them. So just stay with me and let's hear from the chief fisherman.
Noni ya no isanu wateshi kodu wa yue eja ka oga wateshi ma e ba koto minister regional reba wakashi wa anu e aka artisan for 2 years hey ni minister regional reba davida e re sanu wateshi no ngmene gbina wateshi ye no won yue waka insurance me tiona amecha me popo ni ma ya le dia to ne ka me insurance. Yeah, many on Shona, no me on when be coming your mammy affair. I mean, be a buy. Anyai. Many yen, Savitafla, Nabe Banshona, Naman by your law, and I'm about Shona and by low. I mean, Yanameba. And I what is she walk out way. Nipadi be Yale, Jana Kine. What minute be there, walk out by you. Can you won't come here? In Shona Metiona, Janoco. She, I'm a sure local German Sekaba. Now I'm going to walk costos there. Now I'm home.
So, Nana, some of the concerns they're being shared in terms of what impact this is having on them. Any quick responses?
All right. So, from what he said, luckily I understand, Ghana. Let me correct. He said the ministry wants to close the sea for 2 years. That is not the statement.
I think that must have been a slip, not.
Yeah. So it's for 1 month for the artisanal, and for the industrial trawlers they are going for 2 months.
2 months.
A lot of times people complain that it looks like we try to protect the industrial trawlers and the like, but they are going for 2 months. No fishing, and they are doing just for 1 month. And like I said, the close season will near to the benefit of the fisher folks. That point has been made well and clear. And we've had a lot of stakeholder consultations. The ministry, even a fortnight ago, met all the fisher folks across the country to meet and deliberate with them. So it's something that's going to inure to their benefit. And we want to use the platform to encourage all the fisher folks to do this wholeheartedly, so that at the end of the day, we can all protect the very scarce resources.
Now, my final bit to you, I hear you and I understand across the world this is done, the closed season. But if the fisher folk are agitating like this, it must point to certain difficulties they have. There is talk about the pricing of the premix, the fact that, of course, they even go and they don't, catch as much as they would have done. I'm sure you would attribute that to, overfishing and all of that. But Don't you feel there are other problems that are making them agitated like this? Else, it shouldn't be such a problem, observing the closed season, should it?
Yeah, I don't think it should be a problem at all. Looking at the level of consultations we've done, like I said...
Are you going to continue with those consultations? Are you going to continue with them?
Yes, we'll definitely continue with the consultations. Last year, for example, when we implemented the closed season, the minister herself was on the ground giving support to fisher folks, giving them some support and all of that. So it's something that has come to stay. And anything has its challenges when it's starting for the first time. I think this is the third time it's going to happen. So we'll definitely encounter some of these challenges. So the ministry will still consult, we'll still sit with them, we'll try and see how we can address the situation. So that
Finally, Nana, how will you deal with any, so to speak, recalcitrant fishermen? Now, some of them have said they are simply not going to comply. How are you going to, address the situation?
I think the closed season is enshrined in the fisheries laws. And last year we had a near 100% compliance, and we are going to work with the FEU, the Marine Police, to make sure we ensure strict compliance. Because something that is enshrined, is in the fisheries law, is been and it's a community. So all fishermen must adhere strictly to what the ministry is trying to do. Like I said, it stands to benefit them the most. And we all have to do this and make sure it happens. Some of them were complaining that the election year didn't happen from the press conference you showed not long ago.
Right.
Of course, we all know what was happening globally, and I think the ministry thought it was that it was Corona, and we all knew what was happening.
Right. Nana, let me sneak in this bit. I wanted to let you go, but stay with me. We have Nana Kweja, who is also president of the Canoe Fishermen Association of Ghana. He also joins the conversation. Nana Kweja, thank you for joining the conversation. Now, what are your chief concerns when it comes to, this entire situation of the closed season?
Right. Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. I must make this point that yesterday I did not participate in the press conference in opposition to the closed season, because we were in Volta region looking at tidal wave issues, and I'm yet to have the full details of what the fishers in Cape Coast spoke about. But I must put it on record that fishers have a lot of concerns about the implementation of the closed season.
What are the concerns? Just detail them briefly if you can. Good.
The concern is that the closed season period coincide with the economic period of the artisanal fisheries, because in artisanal fisheries, July, August, September is the economic period. That is where fishers may catch. Now, it is within this period that the scientists say is the biological period, for which reason the closed season should be observed as such. The question is, what adequate provisions are being made for to provide socio-economic support for the fishers within the closed season period? Currently, we all know the economic situation in the country and the associated rising costs and hardship. The question is, what adequate provisions have been made to contain the fishers, to support the fishers within the period that they are observing this closed season? The next thing is that we are doing the closed season so that the fish reproduction can go on. The question is, how adequately have we planned to address the illegalities that are driving the collapse of the fishery? Because we have the harvesting of juvenile fish across all sectors, with industrial sectors, these trawlers harvesting juvenile fish, landing them at the port, putting them in cartons and freezers, which are to be sold by the coastal operators. The question is, how are we addressing this illegality? Because if at the end of the closed season, we go back to business as usual, then depriving the fishers of their livelihood within the period it is not worth doing. So these are some of the concerns that the fishers have. As we speak, we have had challenges with supply of premise due to internal and then external factors. So even within this period, going to fishing has been difficult. Now we want the fishers to adequately prepare for the cruise season. But the question is, we are being challenged as to our ability to go for fishing within this period. How then do we prepare to contain ourselves within the closed season period? So out of these economic issues, I wouldn't be surprised the fishers coming out to voice that they wouldn't implement. But then,
are you in support of that position? Very quickly, are you in support of that position? The non-compliance.
I am not in support of that position, but I think that we should engage to make the implementation of the close season rather effective. So let's table the issues, the concerns that we have, and let's get the Ministry of the Fisheries and Agriculture Development and then the Fisheries Commission to sit down with the fishers and look at how we can address these concerns that the fishers have. At the end of the day, the resource is collapsing, and it is the duty of everyone to support effort at rebuilding the resource. But then that should not be done at the expense of the livelihood or at the expense of the well-being of the fishers. So I will appeal that let's put the issues down. Let's get the ministry to engage, and then we can know how best to go about it.
Nana Kwija, thank you for engaging us this morning. We're grateful for your time. Nana, would you like to respond to that? The issues raised by Nana Kwija, just briefly as we wrap.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, like you said rightly, I think we need to engage more, but it's a collective effort. Most of the illegalities he's talking about are being perpetrated by these same fishermen. He talk about light fishing, and Nana Kwija knows very well that his fishermen, majority of them are engaged in this illegality. So we always want to shift the goalpost to government. What is the role? What role are these artisanal fishers also playing in making sure we curb some of these illegalities? So it's a collective effort. They can come to the table. We'll sit down again and see how we can resolve these challenges. But the ministry, led by the minister, Honorable Mavis Hawakumsen, is fighting these illegalities head on. We can state authoritatively that issues of cycle and the rest is now a thing of the past. There are some niggling issues we need to solve, and we need the contribution of the fisher folks. We need them on board to make sure some of these illegalities come to an end. Of course, it's not the fisheries ministry perpetrating these illegalities. Things we are talking about, like use of monofilament nets, IUU fishing, use of generators or light fishing to go to sea, are being perpetrated by these same fisher folks. So in addressing these problems, we need their contribution to make sure these things come to an end.
Thank you, Nana Asare, the Premix Administrator there, for joining the conversation.